book of Exodus is a rescue story, and we're going to break it down to 7 parts. And it's going to start in the beginning where Israel's in bondage. So even though they're God's chosen people, they're still enslaved and oppressed. Exodus 2 even tells us that the people groaned because of their slavery and they cried out to God. Now, we have to understand that just because we're chosen by God doesn't mean we won't experience suffering. But it can be a place where God can reveal his power in our lives. But then we go to part 2, and that's where God's going to raise up this reluctant leader named Moses to confront Pharaoh. And God has a really simple message. He says to let my people go. Now, Pharaoh is not going to do this, so God sends 10 plagues. And these aren't just random punishments, but they're judgments against the false gods of Egypt, and they show that Yahweh alone is supreme. Then we get to the Passover. And this moment's going to point forward to Jesus because he's the true Passover lamb. And it shows that salvation is always going to be initiated by God, not earned by his people. So then they go to the Red Sea, and Israel is going to walk through the sea on dry ground. And it shows us that God isn't just going to remove us from slavery, but he's going to make a way where we don't even have to go back. And then we go into the wilderness. And while the Israelites are in the wilderness, it shows that they're complaining and they have a lack of trust. And they're even wanting to go back to Egypt. Even after all this deliverance, Israel's still struggling to live free. But God's going to use the wilderness to teach dependence, not comfort. So we get to part 6, and that's the law. So God gives the law not to enslave Israel again, but to teach them how to finally live free. And the law is going to reveal God's holiness, our brokenness, and it shows our need for grace. And then we get to part 7, and that's God's presence. Exodus 40 says that the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Because God's goal was never just freedom, but it was to dwell with his people. Because the heart of the Lord is for his people to have a heart for him. So to recap all of this, Exodus shows us a God who rescues and redeems and remains faithful. And he's going to deliver us through slavery. He's going to walk with us through the wilderness, and he invites us to live in his presence. Because God didn't just free Israel to leave them, he freed them to dwell with them. So, if you like this video, check out our next one on Leviticus.